Cool. Yes, I guess we are just live. We'll just wait for a couple of seconds for people to settle down. So Praveen, I think we'll wait till 8:31, 8:32 so that to get started so that people can join in and then it'll be more easier.
Sure.
Cool. We can share screen as well, the presentation, so that it can get started.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I'm just adding it. Cool. Very well. We are on track. Hello, everyone. Welcome to one of the biggest product launches in Factors.ai. We are launching our LinkedIn AdPilot today. And this has been something which we have been working for the last 2 to 3 months across more than or close to 10 alpha beta customers. And we are very proud to now make it generally available. So this is part of the launch, and I have my co-founder Praveen also in the call, and very happy to take you through that. So the first thing is like, why this product? We work with more than 300 customers in B2B, predominantly in technology and software services, which is there. And we keep listening to them in terms of feedback on like what they like in terms of B2B signal-based marketing, which are the kind of, okay. Yeah, we'll just wait for a couple of 1 or 2 minutes for people to join us. So, yeah. 10 more seconds. Okay. Okay. I guess we have had more than close to 350, 360 registrations. So it's been a good set of people streaming in. So we just want to wait for all of them to come in, because the introduction part where we talk about the problem, we just want to make sure everyone has a view of it before we get into the primary use case. So everyone on the live, please be patient with us. Sorry for this. We have started seeing comments as well. So. Okay. Just a couple of seconds more. We're just getting in people. Good, great, we are on track. Hello, everyone. Thanks a lot for being here. We are here to launch LinkedIn AdPilot from Factors.ai. This is one of the biggest product launches from Factors.ai. And this has been almost like months of effort, more than 3 months. And we have had almost 10 beta customers working with us on this. And now we are making it live for general availability. And this is something which is one of the largest launches here for us. So before getting into the product as such, is like I just want to cover like why and where the problem came from. At Factors.ai, we solve for signal-based marketing and attribution. Fundamentally, like identifying all the signals which come in the buyer journey, identifying which companies are showing interest, where they are coming from, who are the ones uh, uh, who are actually more high intent, which stage of the buying journey they are, and then activating them across multiple channels. And in this, working with more than 300 customers, we get a lot of feedback on like what features they really like, which are the aspects which they really want to get solved to. And that's where the genesis of the problem actually started. And one thing which customers came back and told us is LinkedIn is the numero uno B2B buying platform. There is no two ways about it. If you are a B2B product and if you're selling to other B2B companies, LinkedIn is the place where you have to be, and you have to run ads on LinkedIn because that's where all the decision makers are at. But there are also a lot of kind of frustrations associated with it. A lot of companies felt that, I mean, irrespective of however you run LinkedIn ads, it always seems to be far more expensive. The cost per leads is always very, very high. Or a lot of companies have resigned to the fact like, I have to run only brand ads on LinkedIn. I shouldn't expect performance or ROI based ads running on LinkedIn. The second thing is a more tactical things. Like last thing is like, how do I run customized audiences? Because like for each and every different kinds of audiences, I want to run contextual campaigns, and running custom audiences is also very, very hard on LinkedIn. And lastly, like when I start running on LinkedIn, it's like if I set a budget of $5,000 or $10,000, the budget seems to just expire very fast. Like it tends to get spent off very, very fast. How do I prevent that? How do I run the campaign sustainably, making sure all the accounts, everyone gets a good set of visibility? All these were all problems which our customers talked to us about. And we took that up as a challenge because one, we are very, very clear, like we are a LinkedIn marketing partner. We are very confident and sure LinkedIn ads must work. We just have to find a way to make it work right. And we took this problem back into our drawing board, worked with our product and tech team. And over the period of last 3 to 4 months, we have brought this product out. And that's what Praveen is here to talk about. Over to you, Praveen.
Hey, thanks, Sri. And thanks everyone for making it to the event. Really excited to kind of show you what we have built out. Just to elaborate on what Sri covered, when we spoke to our customers, we identified 4 distinct problems that marketers were facing with LinkedIn. The first one was just the amount of time and effort that goes into list building and uploading that into your campaign so that you're targeting the right audience. This typically starts with building an ICP list using a ZoomInfo or an Apollo or a Clay, aligning with your sales team, and finalizing that list of accounts that you want to go after. On top of that, you would add multiple intent sources, such as, let's say, companies which are visiting your website or companies which are researching about you on review platforms like G2, so that you further narrow down the list into accounts which are already aware about your category or researching about solutions like yours. Further, you would also want to exclude customers and opportunity stage accounts so that you're not kind of wasting your dollars on companies which are already engaged with you, right? So as you can imagine, you're all, and I'm sure as you must go through, you're bringing in data from 3-4 sources. You have to merge these lists together and then upload them into LinkedIn. It generates a lot of busy work, which takes up marketers' time, and also it leads to manual errors at times, wherein you upload like the wrong list into a campaign, right? And more importantly, this is not one-time work, right? So you continuously have to exclude your customers. So this is something that a lot of marketers were doing on a weekly basis, if not more frequently, right? So this was one of the first problems that they highlighted. Now, the second issue was generally the idea of lopsided ad distribution, right? So imagine going back to the previous step, you've finalized a list, you've bought all of these intent data sources, you've created creatives which directly talk to this particular audience, and you've launched your campaign, let's say targeting 1,000 accounts. But and you would expect as a marketer that all of these accounts or a good majority of these accounts would see your ads sufficiently on LinkedIn. They'll become aware of your brand so that when your sales team is reaching out in parallel, they remember your company and are more likely to kind of respond to their outreach, right? Now, this is a plan, but what happens in reality is that a few accounts, like 10 to 15% of the accounts that you're targeting, consume around 80 to 85% of the impressions within your campaign, right? So that is what we observed across customers, that a few accounts kind of consume most of your impressions. And what does this result in? Fewer accounts reached effectively, and hence fewer meetings booked for your sales team, and hence kind of lower pipeline and other targets as well. Just as an example, one of our customers actually spent 3% of their budget on Microsoft and 3% of their budget on Salesforce last quarter. And that was not by choice, right? They didn't have a way to control it up until now, right? So this was a second
basically,
problem.
in a sense, what you're saying is like two accounts ended up of a list of almost more than 1,000 to 2,000 accounts ended up consuming almost 6% of the budgets.
Yeah, in that company's case, 2 out of 4,000 accounts consumed 6% of the budget, right? So that's how skewed it was in terms of the distribution. And again, this is something that we have seen across all our customers who are advertising on LinkedIn, right? Now, the third problem that came up was, and this is again something that we observed with at least 90 to 95% of our customers, where essentially the measurement framework that they're using for LinkedIn was what they ported over from search, right? So you're measuring LinkedIn like a direct response channel using last click attribution as the primary way to measure effectiveness, right? So you're looking at contacts created or demo form submissions where like the UTMs are directly attributed to LinkedIn, or you're looking at lead gen form submissions on the platform, right? Now, the challenge with this is that LinkedIn is not a direct response channel. It is a display channel. Users are not kind of very actively looking for, making a purchase when they are browsing through their LinkedIn feed. And that is also reflected in the fact that CTRs on LinkedIn range from like 0.5 to 0.8%. So a majority of the users are actually not clicking on the ad. Our research also shows that once you start a campaign, it literally takes 2-3 weeks for those accounts to be sufficiently aware about you and then come to your website through some other channel, right? Like direct or even paid search for that matter. And that's how they then go ahead and book a demo or alternatively, they might just directly respond to your sales team in terms of their email outreach. So what we have now come up with is a new measurement framework based on view-through attribution for LinkedIn.
So this, in essence, is like in real life, you would see LinkedIn ads are like billboard ads. You might be seeing hundreds of billboards as you are on a highway or wherever it is, and you see a billboard, you don't immediately act on the billboard. Later, that resides on your head, and after a couple of weeks or months, then you go to Amazon or Google search or organically end up on that website, and then you buy or start your buying process. The same way is how LinkedIn ads actually works on the B2B side. People see LinkedIn ads, but they don't click. And actually the percentage of clicks are like almost just 1% of the number of companies or number of people who actually see the LinkedIn ads. But later they come back into the website either through organic or paid or any other email or other channels. And then the standard attribution models end up giving the credit to them. And this, in essence, has second order effects. It actually brings into the phase like where like LinkedIn ads are expensive. It doesn't actually directly lead to leads. It's just more for a brand kind of a offering.
Yeah. Just by changing this perspective from click-through attribution to like view-through attribution, what we have seen for our own data is almost a 10x increase in the pipeline that we could attribute back to LinkedIn as being influenced by LinkedIn, right? Like the account's journey started with LinkedIn, where they saw our ads, then they came to the website and then like booked the meeting, right? So nearly like a 10x difference is what we could see for ourselves. And that is why we are kind of convinced that measuring LinkedIn on a view-through basis is probably the best way to kind of look at that channel and assess its effectiveness. Adding on, the last challenge that we heard from marketers was that all these platforms like LinkedIn employ a lot of machine learning algorithms and automatic campaign optimizations so that they can figure out which audience is really likely to work for your campaign, right? And they can bid up on some of those users, bid low on some of those users, etc. However, the lifeblood for these auto optimizations is the ability to pass back conversion events into LinkedIn. And these conversion events ideally you should send a mix of conversion events, some of them high volume conversion events from your website, like visiting high intent pages like pricing page, looking at your product demo, or watching like an explainer video which happens on the website. Or it could be more bottom of the funnel conversion events from your CRM, like the contact became an MQL, or attended a meeting with a salesperson, or replied to like a sales email, etc. Right? So you want to bring in data from two sources like your website and CRM, and pass that back into LinkedIn. And here again, there's a lot of complexity in terms of fetching the LinkedIn click ID, hashing the user details so that LinkedIn can actually parse that and then attribute it back to the right campaigns, right? Again, in the world of third-party cookie deprecation, this becomes even more challenging. And what is the end result of this? Again, it results in suboptimal campaign optimization, and again, higher cost per leads and the perception that LinkedIn is an expensive channel, right? So these are the sort of four main challenges that we heard when we spoke to our customers, and that is what we set out to kind of fix. And I'm quite confident that the solutions that we have kind of adequately address these challenges, right?
Got it.
Yeah.
So these are the challenges which came in and the kind of solutions which is there. Fundamentally, what I'm here to introduce is like how Factors.ai helps. What we do at a fundamental level is we integrate all the GTM data and intent signals. So it can be first-party data, which is your CRM, your email, your website activity, etc., including your ad channels data, including LinkedIn views, etc. Second is your second-party data, which can come from review sites like G2, Capterra, etc., and also the third-party intent data. So we combine all the data signals from all these data sources and stitch together the entire buyer journey. And that's the first thing which we solve for. Second is like once you have the buyer journey of each and every account which is showing intent on your product, either on website or review sites or intent data forms or into your email systems, then we have the analytics architecture. Fundamentally, we are built as an analytics product to actually then score and segment these accounts. So for example, we can automatically see like which companies are those which are showing high intent, which companies are showing low intent or just broad of the top of the mind brand awareness, which companies are showing medium level mid funnel intent, which is there. That's one thing, and this is something which is a scoring mechanism which can be customized. But the more important thing is you can also then segment those accounts. For example, which are those companies which are showing high intent from this particular industry, which is software and industry, and have visited my pricing page more than 2 times in the last 60 days, or which are the companies which are showing intent on my website and have come through a paid search channel but have never looked at a LinkedIn ad. So like this, you can create custom segmentation, which is what is the second part of the problem which we are solving. The third part is you have all the data of every single account. Then you have the segment insights in terms of which set of accounts are high intent, which set of accounts are low intent, which are the set of accounts which have done specific activity, etc. This is all the intelligence. But all the intelligence and insights is useless if you don't take action on them. The third part is like, how do you activate your target accounts? That is either across like, can you send this set of accounts back into a programmatic channel? Can you send this set of accounts back into an email channel? Or can you send this set of accounts back into LinkedIn ads back into as an audience for them to target? And the last part is like you run campaigns. You have to then come back and do the feedback loop. Which campaigns worked? Do LinkedIn campaigns actually generate more pipeline compared to paid search accounts? Or do particular blogs or case studies actually have a much higher influence on your pipeline? Or certain set of audiences, customers who have viewed a particular blog or attended a particular event have a higher propensity to convert? All this analysis is what we do in our attribution product. So with Factors.ai, we combine all the data, analyze the data, activate the data, and most importantly, do the attribution for the data as well, and completing the feedback loop into what works, what doesn't work, so that you can recursively improve your campaign on a consistent basis. That's what we solve with Factors.ai. And going further into each of these segments as well, as like Praveen will explain.
Yeah. So the 4 new features that we are launching are, one is the audience builder. Second is Smart Reach, which is our, from what I know, one of its kind feature to improve your ad impression distribution on LinkedIn. The third is what we call True ROI in terms of measuring your effectiveness of LinkedIn. from a view through attribution perspective. And lastly, an integrations with LinkedIn's conversion API, where you can send both offline and CRM, online and offline data back to LinkedIn in a matter of a couple of clicks. What I'll do next is quickly walk you through each of these features and also kind of demo that to you live in the product, right? So audience builder, as Sri mentioned, right? So we collect all of your GTM data, so connect with all your GTM data sources, unify it at an account level, and then you have the ability to segment and then sync it back with other systems that you're using, right? Some of the segments that our customers build are, for example, US-based SaaS companies that have visited the pricing and G2 page more than once in the last 90 days, right? Or companies that have visited your search ads landing page, right? So really high intent accounts which have come to your search ads landing page but have not converted, which is obviously a majority. How do you actually nurture that through LinkedIn? You're essentially stacking LinkedIn as a growth channel on top of your existing investment into Google search. Or lastly, close loss customers that are now visiting your website and then showing some signs of life, right? Now, how does this look like in Factors, right? So what I'll quickly go through is, so this is how our segment builder looks like. So right now I'm inside my own instance of Factors, and you can essentially add these filters over here. So here I've built a segment of saying tier 1 accounts that have also visited the G2 product page for Factors category. And I'm building such a list to just kind of see, which are these accounts, how do I engage with them? So I can apply these filters on employee range or industry. So in our case, it's software and technology in companies which are in the range of 100 to 1,000 employees, 20 to 1,000 employees. I can add more filters here. Your entire CRM data, like 200 properties from HubSpot, are available over here. You can add more events. Right now, I've added an event of looked at the product page more than once in the last 90 days. You can even add additional events like looked at the product page, but let's say did not go to like the blog page. Let's say if you wanted to kind of exclude a particular event, you can do that as well, right? So it's a very flexible sort of segmentation engine. You can keep adding conditions so that you are narrowing down the audience into exactly the set of accounts that you want to kind of target. It allows you to bring together your CRM data, website intent data, G2 data. You also have the ability to upload any other sort of account data in the form of Excel sheets into Factors. So essentially, you can bring your own data, right? So you're not limited by, let's say, a few integrations that we have or anything like that, right? And once you build this list, you save it as a segment. So you'll see hundreds of segments that we have created in our own instance. And then you can sync it back into LinkedIn or any other system. And once you set this up, it works all the time. Every day we keep your audiences refreshed on LinkedIn, and essentially freeing up a lot of bandwidth for marketers to kind of focus on the more pressing problems, right? So to go back to the example that I mentioned, if you want to exclude customers, all you would say is, life cycle stage should not equal to customer, right? And that's all that you would have to do. As in when you mark new accounts as customers, we take care of excluding it from the audience on LinkedIn, and ensuring that your ads are targeted exactly at the accounts that you wanted to, and there is no sort of wastage. Now, you can also add filters at a person level. So you can say you want to look at only accounts where you have at least one contact with a particular job title, right? So let's say you want to apply filters based on job title. You can do that. So it's a pretty extensive and advanced sort of segmentation builder, which you can kind of leverage. The second feature that we built out, which, as I mentioned, we believe we're probably the only platform right now which supports this capability, is essentially how do you control how the impressions that are allocated at an account level. So going back to the problem statement that I mentioned, right? For any campaign, 10% of your accounts end up taking up 80 to 85% of your impressions. And till now, you did not have a way to kind of control this other than through like a lot of manual work, like excluding companies or splitting up companies into different campaigns, which again increases your CPM on LinkedIn, right? What we have come up with is this capability called, just one second. Yeah. Let me just go back to slideshow here. Yeah. So what we have come up with is this capability called smart reach, or frequency capping, where you can essentially set up rules at a campaign level, at a campaign group level, or at the entire ad account level. And you can set up conditions like saying a particular account on a monthly basis should not be it should not be either clicking on the ad more than 5 times, or the impression cap should be like 500 impressions at the account level. Once you set this up and publish this and it becomes active in Factors, what we do is we actually look at your ad account every day, see which are those companies which have reached this cap in terms of 500 impressions for this month, and then add them as an exclusion into your campaign, so that you're not actually spending more budget on these accounts, right? This essentially helps you distribute your budgets more effectively, and in our experience drives at least a 20 to 25% incremental ROI on LinkedIn by taking those 80% of the impressions which are currently focused on 10% of the companies and distributing it to a wider base of companies, right? And again, what's the result? More accounts are aware about you, more accounts are coming back to your website and then booking a demo, or more accounts are actually replying to your sales outreach and then getting into your pipeline. You have the ability to do this at a campaign group level, at a campaign level. So for example, if you have different products and you want to set this up at a campaign group level, you can do that as well. You can set it up for specific campaign groups or specific campaigns. You can set up the caps on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis. So all of those kind of controls exist for you. So that's how the frequency capping sort of solution works. Now, the second use case over here is, in addition to, let's say, removing over investment into certain companies, how do you also allocate more of your impressions to companies which are showing higher intent, right? So that is a second sort of advanced rules that we provide over here, where you can say that the default rule is that a company should not see, for example, 500 impressions from your ad account. However, if you see that the company is already showing a very high level of intent, in the sense that they're actually coming to your website, they are going to G2, etc., etc. So you can say that the impression cap should be increased. So you can increase your impression cap to 2,000 impressions for companies which are showing a certain high level of engagement. And for companies which are showing a moderate level of engagement, you can say give up to 1,000 impressions as well. So here, what you're essentially signaling to LinkedIn is the base frequency cap is, let's say, 500 impressions per account. That's where you want to start for all the accounts, so that your money is being well distributed across all accounts. As and when some accounts start showing interest, you increase the impression share for those accounts, right? So imagine that you have a LinkedIn campaign, you have a sales outreach happening in parallel. As and when an account replies to your salesperson's email, suddenly that account starts seeing more ads on LinkedIn, right? So more people from the buying committee start seeing those ads. So it drives perfect alignment between various go-to-market motions that we have. And you can be sure that your LinkedIn budget is spent exactly on the accounts that are showing interest in your solution, right? So this is the sort of a groundbreaking feature that we have launched. We have tested it out with, as we mentioned, around 10 customers. And the results are ballpark in the range of an immediate 20 to 25% ROI improvement in terms of number of companies reached, cost per company in terms of exposure, or cost per lead, and other bottom of the funnel metrics as well. And today, as I said, this is available on a general available basis.
Yes. And the key thing here is there are clear first order effects in terms of companies' reach and leads, but there are also good second order effects as well, like how the campaign runs more sustainably, how you can run multiple campaigns together and implement the campaign frequency capping. And then over the next period of month, the campaign learns over a period of time in a sustainable fashion, rather than just stopping and starting at each and every point level. So there are multiple benefits which come out of this one single feature, both immediate low-hanging fruits and also second order, third order effects which come in as well.
Yeah, interestingly, Sri, like what we have seen is that when customers have implemented this, they are also seeing a reduction in CPM. So they're seeing a reduction of up to 10 to 15% in their CPM. And I presume that's because rather than kind of aggressively spending their budget on a few accounts, you're forced to kind of wait till newer accounts start coming into LinkedIn feed and start seeing your ads, right? So this kind of has this second order effect that your CPMs on LinkedIn also actually come down by around 10 to 15% for the 10 customers that we have tested this out, right? So yeah, as you said, the first order impact is just more accounts seeing your ads, and the second order impact is lower CPMs, which then leads to more demos and like a lower cost per demo as an outcome.
Yeah.
Right. Moving on, the next feature, as Sri mentioned, was so we are primarily built as an analytics product, right? So we have the ability to bring in account level data in terms of like all the web activity, LinkedIn impressions, LinkedIn clicks, all of which you can see in a timeline view inside Factors. So you can see like the entire story of that account from the time they first visited the website to all the impressions that they've seen, timestamped and shown in this timeline, right? Now, on top of this, what we've built is we've built an ability for you to measure the effectiveness of LinkedIn through two separate sort of measurement techniques. And I'll be taking you through both of them over here, right? So the first one is what we call funnel analysis. So in this analysis, at an account level, what you're essentially asking is, show me how many accounts have viewed our ad, how many of them later came to the website, which we are able to detect through the reverse IP technology, or when they actually fill out a form. How many of these accounts then filled out a form, which comes from HubSpot, and how many of those then became a deal, right? So if you see here, we are pulling data from 4 different systems. This comes from LinkedIn, this comes from your website, this is from your contact object in HubSpot, and this is from the deal object in HubSpot. And the same thing applies for Salesforce as well. It would practically be impossible to build a report like this in a very easy fashion using HubSpot or any solution that you have today. In Factors, what you're able to do is you're able to see, like for last quarter, we showed ads to 11,624 companies on LinkedIn. Around 1,661, around 14.3% of them came to the website. And if you see here, the time taken is around 22 days and 18 hours. So once an account starts seeing ads, at least from Factors, it takes them a good 3 weeks to come back to our website. So they are in no hurry to kind of click on the ad and jump on a demo, right? Now, of this, around 243 accounts submitted a form on Factors website, and we only have 2 forms, like a demo form or a sign-up form. So these are all like really high-value actions from our prospects. And we have 32 deals created last quarter where the journey started with LinkedIn, right? And the entire sort of timeline took around 57.5 days. And you can, again, break this down at a campaign level. So you can see, for example, I've done the same report up till the form submission, broken it down at a campaign level. So I can see that my overall conversion rate on LinkedIn is like 2.1%, but there are some campaigns which stand out in terms of like, some specific sort of campaigns. And you can see all of that performance and the time analysis over here, right? So some campaigns tend to convert faster, at a higher conversion rate, and all of that analysis you'd be able to kind of do here. And we are able to do this because we are pulling in all of your company exposure data from LinkedIn. So you're not just seeing the top 25 companies which have seen your ads, you're seeing all the companies that have seen your ads. We are able to then build it into like a funnel kind of a view where just you can model it like an event, just like you have a website session or a form submission, right? So this essentially helps you, even when you start a campaign on LinkedIn, within a matter of like a week or 2, you can start monitoring how many of the accounts are coming to the website, and you can predict whether this campaign is likely to result in the outcomes that you want, right? Because you're able to kind of look at these early metrics. So this is one capability in terms of funnel analysis at an account level.
Yeah. Praveen, maybe it would also be good to answer some questions because we have a stream of good questions coming in. So I think it'll be good to take it live now itself. What do you think?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. So one question has come from Erin. She's asked about like, how are you stitching the users together between website, CRM, and LinkedIn? What about account-based linking? How are you actually able to do that?
Yeah, so essentially on the website, what we do is we have a cookie which tracks the user's activity. And whenever a user lands on the website using reverse IP technology, we are able to identify which is the company that the user is coming from. And if the user fills out the form, then obviously any form on your website, then again, we have that information at a company level to say this particular user is part of, let's say, Microsoft.com. Now, when we get data from G2 also, we get it again at a company level. And even LinkedIn data that we get is at a company level, right? Now, obviously, we have to do a lot of cleanup of the LinkedIn data because sometimes the URL that companies put on LinkedIn is not exactly an accurate URL. For example, sometimes people put like jobs.americanexpress.com as like, they probably set up their LinkedIn accounts, primarily from a recruitment perspective. So I've seen a lot of companies put up like a jobs domain on LinkedIn. So we have to kind of clean that up. Or I see like news.microsoft.com, that's how Microsoft domain comes up on LinkedIn, right? So we have to do that cleanup, but once we do that cleanup, we are able to unify all of this data at an account level. And your CRM data is already organized in terms of contacts, leads, which are then connected to accounts. So we have the CRM data anyways at an account level. In terms of deals, contacts, all of those objects are available at an account level. So this is how we kind of stitch the data using the domain as the primary sort of key.
Got it. And one more question again from Erin as well, like with regard to the account exclusion and frequency capping, whether it's like, are we doing it forever or how do you, can you add it back the next month?
Yeah, so you have that control here. So we have the capping interval, which is a control. This is an existing rule, so you can kind of edit that. So monthly is what we recommend, so that what you don't want is an account reaches a certain level of impressions and you exclude it from your campaigns forever, right? So that would not be like a prudent strategy. So what we recommend is doing this at a monthly level. So you keep a threshold for an account in terms of number of impressions. If that account, let's say you start on July 1st and on July 10th, that account hits 500 impressions, right? Then we would exclude that domain only for the rest of July, right? On August 1st, we will add it back into the campaign so that you can continue to spend on that account. So we advise doing this at a monthly level, but you can also do this at a quarterly level or anything like that. The control exists inside the platform.
Yeah. And Ramesh just asked, like, will that remove companies if you're capping it on a daily basis? But that's something which...
Yeah, so we do this on a daily basis. So every day we look at that month's data and see, okay, which are the companies that are crossing the threshold and then remove it from LinkedIn. And then at the end of the month, we kind of add it back so that you can continue to spend on those accounts.
Yeah. And one last question before we go back to the product and then answer a couple of more questions as well. Valentin had one good question. It's like, when the audiences are created, is it done real time or near real time? And how often does it get updated on which accounts are going to get targeted?
Yeah, so we update the accounts once a day today. So the account creation happens in real time, but we batch together all of the updates once a day so that you're not hitting limits on LinkedIn, and we are able to kind of do this at scale. So all of the audience gets refreshed once a day into LinkedIn, right? So that is the frequency that we are operating with right now.
Got it. And there are a lot more questions coming up, but you go ahead with the product this thing while we also batch them up and then answer them together soon the next.
Yeah. So going back to what I was talking about, so in terms of ROI measurement, what essentially this allows you to do is understand the impact of LinkedIn from a view through attribution perspective, and hence be much more confident in terms of how you're investing into LinkedIn as a channel, right? So today, if you're struggling with questions like, oh, the cost per lead is very high, again, when you're measuring on a last click basis, it's fundamentally like an incorrect way to kind of look at LinkedIn as a channel, and you'd want to kind of look at it on a view through basis and showcase that there were 32 deals from last quarter that started their journey from LinkedIn. Would you really want to kind of cut down on your investment into this channel, right? Now, another main factors where you can also look at this is we have this feature called segment insights. So for example, I have this segment called engaged on LinkedIn, which is all the companies that have seen my ads on LinkedIn. That kind of comes up over here. And I have this feature called insights, where you can see, again, for last quarter, I'm comparing two segments which have been engaged on LinkedIn as compared to accounts from page search, right? And what you get in like one click is a bunch of marketing and sales metrics. So for example, you can see that this segment is almost 20,000 accounts, obviously at a much more scale than my paid search channel, because as I said, LinkedIn is more of a display platform. In terms of accounts which show high engagement, you can see that it's not that like from search, like a good majority of the accounts, like roughly 20% of the accounts from search are actually showing very high levels of engagement. On LinkedIn, that is a much smaller number in terms of like 3%, right? And that is reflective of the fact that people are not really looking to buy on LinkedIn, but you're still able to get almost an equivalent number of accounts. In fact, slightly more number of accounts for us from LinkedIn than from search, right? I can then see how many marketing qualified leads have we got, and marketing qualified leads for Factors is either a demo booking or a sign up. And again, I can compare between LinkedIn and search over here, right? I can again see how many sales qualified leads have we got. So we created 82 opportunities from LinkedIn vis-a-vis around 73 opportunities from search. So for us, LinkedIn kind of works fabulously. And all the way to like pipeline. So how much is the pipeline that we are generating? What's the average deal size? How much is the revenue that we have booked from LinkedIn? What is the close rate? So the close rates from LinkedIn are slightly lower than the close rates from paid search. And yeah, obviously the accounts from LinkedIn take a slightly longer to kind of convert, almost 20 days longer in terms of their overall sort of sales cycle length, right? So you're able to kind of now, again, coming back to questions like how effective is LinkedIn, you can just compare LinkedIn against any other channel that you would want to compare and see all of these metrics for yourself, right? And again, if you want to put a threshold weightage to say, let's not look at all the accounts which have seen ads on LinkedIn, let's look at only accounts which have seen more than 100 impressions on LinkedIn, right? So that you want to kind of say these are accounts which have been substantially influenced by LinkedIn as a channel. Again, you can compare that against paid search and see how are your numbers kind of stacking up, right? So for the month of June, we booked nearly 27K of revenue from accounts which saw a significant number of impressions on LinkedIn. And so it's a very, very high bar that I'm keeping for LinkedIn to say at least 100 impressions should have been shown, as compared to, let's say, 31K from sort of paid search, right? And so all of these analysis in terms of lift analysis across channels is something that you can very easily do in Factors in just a few clicks. And what does this give you? It gives you confidence to understand LinkedIn's effectiveness in a more complete way rather than relying on last click attribution as like the only methodology to look at.
Yeah. So this is something which is very, very unique with Factors.ai. That is like we have the analytics architecture to actually automatically implement segment level attribution and also lift analysis. So traditional attribution products, and which we also offer in terms of a standard attribution models like multi-touch, first touch, last touch, W, U-shaped, is basically by campaign, by page, what is the amount of pipeline influence or leads influence which is there. What we are doing here is reversing it at a signal and a segment level, like companies which did these actions, what is the pipeline delivered? What is the SQLs delivered? What is the ACV? What is the sales cycle length? And you can also add any other metrics. You can customize those metrics so that you can actually directly see how a segment of companies which did particular marketing activities, what is the pipeline impact for it? And more importantly, compare that with other set of accounts which haven't been exposed to this activity or have been exposed to another channel activity. Hence, you can get a very simple analysis on like, can I compare LinkedIn with Google? Can I compare LinkedIn with those accounts which have seen Google ads but not seen LinkedIn ads? Can I compare LinkedIn with those accounts which haven't ever seen a LinkedIn ads? Or can I compare LinkedIn with something like accounts which have met us in offline events, etc. So all these analysis becomes immediately possible, and then you can do a cost benefit analysis by segment and then activate segments which work. So in essence, this is not just signals aggregation and signal scoring, but you also are able to figure out like which signals are important. For example, like LinkedIn, these campaigns are very important, and because they deliver pipeline. Or like G2 alternatives is very important because they deliver pipeline compared to some other G2 pages. Even within paid search, certain keywords are working very well, certain keywords are not working very well. Or blogs, which blogs are actually driving pipeline versus which blogs are not driving pipeline, so that you focus on those blogs and also audiences from those blogs. This is something which we are uniquely able to do it, and then combine that with our LinkedIn AdPilot, which makes it very, very actionable and useful. That is, you have great audiences, you are able to analyze those audiences, and most importantly, take action on audiences which work and don't work.
Yeah, like interestingly, for one of our customers, like content syndication was one of their biggest investment channels, along with LinkedIn. And they were able to compare like the impact of content syndication with LinkedIn over using the segment insights comparison feature that I just showed. And they were able to kind of clearly see that LinkedIn was working out very well for them in terms of propagating their content and driving awareness as compared to some of the partners that they were working with, right? So all of that becomes like just a couple of clicks away, right? So you're not building extensive reports and getting buried in dashboards. One click, you have all of these metrics kind of coming up for you. Now, the last sort of feature I wanted to cover is basically the conversions integration with CAPI. So as I mentioned, you want to kind of send some high velocity conversion events from your website, like looked at high intent pages, looked at your product tour or watched a video, as well as some CRM conversion events like submitted a form, became an SQL, etc. into LinkedIn. And what we have done is we've made it like very easy for you to send out these conversion events into LinkedIn. So we have these workflows section, and you can essentially select any conversion event over here. So you have all your website activity, all the pages. In our case, for example, I've instrumented all our application pages as well. So everything from your website is available over here. You can pull in data from your HubSpot, like saying forms, somebody attended a call, or a meeting was created, or the contact became an SQL, or contact became an MQL. You can send any of those conversion events as well back into LinkedIn. All you have to do is just select what do you want to kind of send to LinkedIn. You then configure that you want to kind of, this is the sort of conversion name into which you want to pass the event. So you can create multiple sort of conversion rules over here, and then just save and publish, right? So we take care of all of the heavy lifting in terms of capturing the LinkedIn click ID, hashing the sort of names and emails, etc., in a way that LinkedIn can understand, sending as many identifiers as possible so that the match rate is higher. And all of this then goes back to your LinkedIn campaign manager, and it essentially helps LinkedIn serve you better in terms of optimize your campaigns better, right? And in general, it works out in terms of better performance metrics when you are able to share enough conversion signals back into LinkedIn, right? So all of this is part of what we call workflows inside Factors. So you can add, you have a bunch of workflows to choose from, and you just have to add a conversions API, sort of use this workflow. It's just as simple as setting this up, right? Now, so with that, I believe we have come to an end. Sri, over to you.
We have a lot of interesting questions coming up. So since this has been pending for quite some time. So one question is from Valentin, which is fundamentally about like, will this work in a cookieless future?
Yeah. So firstly, Factors is a first-party sort of cookie. So our entire identification and analysis works on first-party cookies and not third-party cookies. So currently, the changes that are happening are predominantly affecting third-party cookies. For example, the LinkedIn Pixel, right, which is a third-party cookie. So we are less affected by this, and it continues to work as of now. And in terms of the CRM data, obviously that's being sent on email, first name, last name. So that works even in a world without sort of cookies. Right now, first party cookies are not impacted even on Safari up to a certain number of days and on Chrome. So as of now, it works just as well. And as things evolve, obviously, we'll also make our solutions more in line with market standards so that you are able to send all of these conversion events back into LinkedIn.
Yeah. Until first-party cookies exist, this solution would really work. So first-party cookies don't seem to go away. The real problem is with third-party cookies. And then we have a question from Liam as well, like, do cookies from ad channels expire after a number of days that results in inability to track back in terms of demos booked?
There are some expiry nuances, so we capture it immediately after the user lands on the website. So if a user clicks on an ad, comes to your website, we are immediately kind of capturing that data and sending back to our side. So we don't. So we have that available as like a property at a user level. So obviously the cookies can be cleared by the user. They're using some specific softwares which clear the cookie at the end of the day, which again happens quite a bit. So we don't wait. We actually capture it immediately so that we have it at our side.
Yeah. One other question from Guneet, and this is something which is interesting as well. Like, can we also connect with product analytics, or can we actually take into account product analytics signals or product signals in terms of SDK plays or upgrade, etc.?
Yeah, you can do that. So we integrate. So one is you can integrate the Factors SDK into your product. So if you see here, when I select the event, whilst it says website activity, for my own project, I have a lot of events from my application, right? So these are specific URLs from inside the application. In fact, I have we're tracking like almost everything inside the app, including if someone clicks on an upgrade button or something like that. So you can send your application data as well into Factors using our own sort of tracking pixel. In addition, we have integrations with CDPs like Segment and RudderStack. So if you're using a Segment or a RudderStack, you can use that also and send application and website data to us using that, right? So if you have like a PLG motion, like we have a couple of companies which are in the developer sort of space, like they are database companies, or a huge part of their go-to-market is ability for users to just kind of use the open source version of the product or like a free version of the product for a long time before they upgrade. And they are actually using a lot of their product signals. So one company very interestingly uses product signals as a way to kind of set different caps on LinkedIn, right? So if any account signs up, you give it like 500 impressions on LinkedIn. If an account sets up your first project or invites like an additional user, you see that as a sign to say, okay, this is a more serious account rather than just someone who has signed up. Increase the ad exposure that you would give to that account on LinkedIn, and so on and so forth, right? And we actually have a blog on this as well as to how customers are using the impression capping feature in conjunction with the product analytics data to ensure that you're showing more ads and investing more of your budget on companies which are very serious about using your offering.
Yeah. So in a sense, it's not just website data or CRM data or ad channel data. We also bring in product data, event system, all into our analytics architecture, and then analyze which accounts are showing intent based on different kinds of signals and then activate on them. This is also, I don't see many tools which are able to bring in product signals and also your website and ad channel and specifically LinkedIn signals to combine all of them. One other question which is coming from Valentin, which is more regarding the plan as well, like access to AdPilot. So how do we get access to AdPilot? So that's a fundamental question.
Yeah. So currently we are, so whilst it's being made available on a GA basis today, we are onboarding customers as per a certain plan and a wait list. So I'd request to just drop us an email or connect with us and reach out to us. The AdPilot feature is largely included in our enterprise plan, but we'd be happy to kind of discuss and figure out how we can kind of support this. Or support your use cases.
Yeah. Yes. Please send us an email. We start with the waitlist and we can bring in customers for that. And one more comment also. Can you put in a link to the blog here, please? Yes, we'll share the blog link. And also Valentin has again asked a pretty interesting question, which is more around like product future. So are you planning to leverage GenAI techniques to provide recommendations for campaign optimization in the future? Query and return analytics with natural language. This is interesting.
Yeah, so we do have some of those capabilities inside the product already, actually. So, for example, you can just kind of ask us questions like sessions by channel or something like that, and you have like the ability to just enter the text, and it would actually try to build out that report for you. It is still an experimental feature, but you have the ability to kind of do this, right? So let's say, for example, in this case, you can just it's something that we've not kind of rolled it out to customers, but this is in our immediate sort of roadmap to kind of make it possible for customers to interact with our entire product, including our segmentation engine, So it is actually able to kind of say sessions breakdown by channel, and it's able to kind of build a report for you. You can actually just save this and just be done with it. So this is something that we are actively working on, and both in terms of building reports as well as building segments. We are looking at a future in the next few months where you don't have to actually go to drop down, select values, etc., which is a huge friction point in terms of like learning and adoption. But you should be able to kind of chat, say, give me customers who have gone to G2 and to the pricing page, exclude accounts which are at a certain life cycle stage, and so on, and we should be able to kind of make sense of it.
Yeah. So in a sense, where we are going towards is like all the hard work or the understanding, the analytics, everything is totally under the hood. In very simple, natural language, you can ask any query to build an audience, activate that audience in any channel which you'd like to, and also see the results of like which audiences are working, what is the incrementality of a particular audience group or a particular segment or a particular marketing activity, all of them in very simple terms. So this AdPilot is what we call as like a co-pilot for B2B marketers, for them to one, identify key accounts which they want to target, act on them, and most importantly, see how their marketing activities are driving results, and then recursively improve them over a period of time, and automatically always seeing the live results in terms of what's working, what's not working. So in a sense, marketing becomes a lot more real time. No post-mortem reports after 3 months or after 6 months, or any kind of accusations of like this didn't work or this was a wasteful expenditure, etc. Live, and you have the credibility and more importantly the data to run experiments and see and keep delivering superior results with Factors.ai.
Yeah. So we've really built this for companies who are trying to scale on LinkedIn. They've tested LinkedIn in the past, but for some reason it didn't work for them, or they felt that it didn't work for them at that time. I'd say with some of these optimization levers plus putting in place a new measurement framework, I'm pretty confident that you'd be able to kind of drive more ROI from LinkedIn and make that channel work. Like for us, as I mentioned, LinkedIn is as important a channel as Google in terms of pipeline contribution. That's because we've optimized the hell out of it, right? So that's the same capability that we'd like to offer to all our customers as
Yeah.
well.
And we are just about time, but we still have 2 more minutes. Any questions we'll be happy to address, both across the product capabilities, future plans, any customer feedback or any specific instances from customers. We'll be happy to share as well. And in the meanwhile, Praveen, any specific instances you can share about use cases within Factors LinkedIn AdPilot?
Yeah, so I think in general, as I said, most of our beta customers are companies who are investing significantly in LinkedIn. So we started with them because then the ROI is like very, very straightforward, right? So as I mentioned, at a high level, what you have seen is a 20% improvement in terms of campaign reach and like a 15% reduction in CPM. That's the sort of output. And this is something that you can achieve in 1 month, right? So there is no question of implementation, wait for 3 months for you to get the ROI. Come on board, and within 1 month, you're able to kind of achieve this result, right? So very quick sort of time to value is what we have observed for all of the customers who have tested this out. And as I said, in general, what it gives them is a confidence to say, okay, finally, I have a handle on this channel. I'm able to make it work, and I'm able to show with real data that it is actually working for me, right? And you're also getting a lot more control back in terms of how the campaign is kind of running, rather than leaving it to chance.
Yeah. And Liam had a nice comment. It's like almost every company should go into a view through conversion results framework. Yes, absolutely, Liam. And specifically in B2B, because marketing activities and any account level activity is not a single person, single activity, right? You target multiple stakeholders within an account across, let's say, can be an email, can be a webinar, can be a podcast, can be an offline event, can have LinkedIn ads. So when all these touch points come in, a view through framework makes it a lot more easier to see how all these touch points came together to actually convert a particular pipeline, just like how a group of footballers pass through to actually convert a goal. The same thing applies in a B2B journey as well. And this is across like multiple months or even quarters at times, which is there. So to stitch together the entire journey and see how each of them impacted and how they converted is the ideal way to go through with a full customer journey timeline, and then a view through plus a segment insight or a incrementality plus lift model in terms of attributing what works, what doesn't work. And this, in addition to a standard multi-touch attribution model, is far more useful and kind of like it actually helps you to drive ROI and take actions on the right marketing activities. And you've had a lot of good show of love. Thanks a lot, Valentin. You have been great in terms of asking questions and many informative questions. And thanks a lot. You liked. Yeah. And Alex has as well. Thank you. Thank you. Sure, Alex. We'll do that. And it's been, yeah, just on time. It's been 1 hour, good, engaging discussion, a lot of questions answered. Great, Praveen. And one thing which we also have to share our gratitude is, one, to the LinkedIn marketing team. We are a LinkedIn marketing partner, and our partnerships team, Vanessa and Gil, have been so supportive to us all through this time, working with LinkedIn teams. And second is also the internal marketing team at Factors.ai, who have basically, in terms of like, burned the midnight oil for the last couple of weeks to make this live possible. Thanks a lot, everyone who's there, and also the product and tech team and design team to make this live, the product live itself in the first place. Thank you, everyone.
All right.